I want to start today by holding up a mirror to a feeling that I think almost everyone listening is going to recognize.
Hmm.
It's that moment, maybe it's 3 p.m. on a Tuesday or 9 p.m. on a Sunday, where you just hit a wall.
Oh, yeah.
You're exhausted, you feel like you're wading through molasses, and your patience is, well, it's basically gone. You're snapping at people, you're staring at your emails, and in that moment, what's that script running in your head?
If you're anything like most people, that script is incredibly harsh. It's
Yeah.
usually something like, get it together, or why can't I handle this?
Right. Or the big one, I'm being so lazy right now.
I'm so lazy. Yeah.
We diagnose ourselves with this character flaw. We assume the problem is a lack of discipline or grit. But today, we're diving into a text that suggests we have that diagnosis completely wrong.
Yeah, the argument here is that when you hit that wall, it's not because you're broken.
And it's certainly not because you're lazy. It's because you are disconnected.
And we're not talking about like a Wi-Fi signal here. We are talking about a really profound systemic disconnection from your own biology, your own truth.
We're unpacking chapter 2 of this source material, and the headline is essentially, Stop Ignoring Your Needs, Start Listening Inward.
I think this is going to be a huge relief for a lot of people to hear.
I think so too. The mission today is to understand why we were sort of trained to ignore that internal voice, how ignoring it actually makes our lives more chaotic, not less, and how to turn our needs from a source of shame into what the text calls an inner navigation system.
You know, the stakes here are really high. We often frame this stuff as wellness or self-care, which can sound a bit fluffy.
Right.
But the text makes a compelling case that ignoring your needs is the direct path to burnout, to resentment, and to a state it describes as quiet depression. This is really about the sustainability of your life.
So let's get into the mechanics of this, because I don't think anyone wakes up and just decides, you know what, I'm going to ignore my hunger and my need for sleep today.
No, it's not a conscious choice.
It feels like something that happens to us. So how does this disconnection actually start?
It's a learned behavior. And to understand it, we really have to look at developmental psychology. The text paints this picture of childhood conditioning. Think about a child. A child is just a raw bundle of needs.
Totally. They need food, comfort, attention, safety.
Right. But what happens if that child grows up in an environment where those needs are seen as inconvenient?
Or where emotions are punished. The classic stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about.
Exactly. Or even just benign neglect, where asking for help is met with a sigh or a not now. The child is absorbing data. And the lesson they internalize is, well, it's dangerous, they learn. My needs are a burden.
Or worse, my needs push people away.
That is a terrifying calculation for a kid to make. Because for a child, connection is survival.
So if my needs threaten my connection to my caregivers, then my needs have to go.
Precisely. You learn to sort of amputate parts of your own experience to stay safe. You develop a persona. The text describes this personality type so vividly, the person who just handles it.
The one who's low maintenance.
Yes, the one who anticipates everyone else's needs, but never voices their own.
I feel a little called out, but it's tricky, right? Because society loves that person.
Oh, it loves that person.
If you're the low-maintenance friend who never complains and always helps, you get praised. You get labeled as strong or reliable.
And that's the trap. The external validation reinforces the internal damage. Everyone loves a martyr until the martyr collapses.
Right.
And the text points out that while this looks like strength from the outside, the internal reality is just so different. It's emptiness, it's resentment, it's that quiet depression where you are functioning highly, but you feel completely hollowed out.
Hollowed out. That is the feeling. It's like being a very efficient robot. But here's the problem with trying to be a robot. We're biological organisms. We have needs whether we acknowledge them or not. You can't just decide not to need emotional safety any more than you can decide not to need oxygen.
And that leads us to probably the most explosive concept in this chapter. The idea that ignoring your needs doesn't make them vanish.
It makes them come out sideways.
Yes.
I love that phrase, coming out
Awesome.
sideways.
Right.
It implies such a lack of control.
Well, it's physics. Think of your needs as pressurized water in a pipe.
Hmm.
If you cap the pipe, if you say, I don't need rest, I don't need help, the pressure doesn't just disappear.
It has to go somewhere.
It builds. And eventually, it bursts out through the weakest point in the system.
So what does that burst look like? Because I assume it's not usually, excuse me, I would like a hug now.
Rarely.
Hmm.
No, it usually looks like something destructive. The text lists some specific manifestations.
Mhm.
Anxiety, sudden rage, burnout.
Or shutting down completely. Let's talk about the rage part because I think that's the one that scares people the most. You're holding it together, and then someone, drops a coffee cup or asks you where the remote is and you just explode.
Right. And then you feel crazy. You think, why am I screaming over a coffee cup? But the text argues you are not screaming about the coffee.
No.
You're screaming because you've been sleep deprived for 6 months, you haven't felt heard by your partner in a year, and you've been carrying the mental load for the entire office. The rage is just the unmet needs finally breaking the door down.
It's displacement. We act out because we can't speak out.
Exactly. And in relationships, this coming out sideways is fascinatingly destructive. Sometimes it looks like the silent treatment.
Yeah.
You go cold. You withdraw.
And it's not because you're trying to be mean necessarily, but
But because you are so depleted that you literally cannot afford the energy to connect.
that reframes so much conflict. Instead of looking at a partner who is snapping or withdrawing and thinking they're being a jerk, we might look at them and ask,
What needs are they suppressing?
and more importantly, asking that of ourselves. When I find myself doom scrolling at 2 a.m., unable to stop, is that because I have a bad habit? Or is it because my need for me time was ignored all day, and this revenge procrastination is the only way my brain knows how to claim some space?
That's the question.
So the shift here, and it's a big one, is to stop viewing the needs as the enemy. We usually treat our needs like these annoying gnats we have to swat away so we can get back to work.
We treat them as defects.
Yeah,
If I were a better parent or a better worker, I wouldn't need a break.
right. But the text flips that, says your needs are not defects. They are data. They are information.
This is the GPS metaphor. I love this because it just takes the emotion out of it. If your car's GPS says turn left, you don't feel guilty.
No.
You don't say, I'm such a weak driver for needing to turn left.
Yeah.
You just turn left. It's guidance.
So if I'm feeling lonely, that's not a character flaw. That's my dashboard light coming on saying connection levels critical.
Exactly. If you're resentful, that's data telling you a boundary has been crossed. If you're exhausted, that's data telling you rest is required for the system to continue. When you view needs as an inner navigation system, you stop fighting them and start using them to steer.
But there is a catch, right? Because reading the GPS is easy. Admitting you have needs to another human being, that's terrifying.
It is. The text is very honest about this. Learning to identify and voice your needs is an act of extreme vulnerability. Because the moment you say, I need reassurance or I need help with the laundry, you're opening yourself up to the possibility of being told no.
And that's the core fear. If I keep my needs secret, I can't be rejected. If I voice them, I can be hurt.
True. But the text argues that this vulnerability is the doorway to self-trust. You cannot trust yourself if you are constantly gaslighting yourself about your own reality.
Right. If you're freezing cold, but you keep telling yourself, I'm fine, I'm not cold, you fracture your relationship with your own body.
You do. So acknowledging the need is actually an act of repairing that relationship with yourself. Even if the need isn't met perfectly by the outside world, you met it by acknowledging it.
You stopped abandoning yourself.
Yes. And that brings us to the practical application. Because philosophy is great, but how do we actually do this on a Tuesday? The text proposes a framework called the Daily Needs Check-in.
I really appreciate how specific this is. It breaks needs down into 3 buckets: physical, emotional, and relational. And I want to walk through these slowly because I think we just skim over them in real life.
We definitely do. Let's start with physical.
Okay, so obviously, food, water, sleep.
You say obviously, but how many of us actually listen to those signals? How many of us override thirst with coffee? Or override the need for movement with, I have to finish this email?
Good point.
The physical check-in asks, what is my body asking for right now? Maybe it's not sleep. Maybe it's just to stretch your shoulders. Maybe it's 5 minutes of sunlight.
It's treating the body like a living thing, not a rental car you're trying to drive into the ground.
Exactly. Okay, second bucket, emotional. This one feels a little harder to pin down.
It is harder because we have less vocabulary for it. The text suggests asking, do I need comfort? Do I need reassurance? Do I need expression?
Reassurance is a big one. I think a lot of high performers feel immense shame around needing reassurance. We think we should just know they're doing a good job.
Absolutely. But we're social mammals. We co-regulate. Needing to hear, you're doing a good job or it's going to be okay, is biologically normal. If you don't ask for it, that need might just curdle into anxiety or controlling behavior.
And then the third bucket, relational needs.
This covers connection, space, honesty, and repair. And I want to highlight space.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The taboo need.
especially for parents or partners. There's so much guilt around saying, I love you, but I need to be in a room where nobody can perceive me for 30 minutes.
Where nobody can perceive me, that is the dream.
But that's a legitimate relational need.
It is essential. You cannot relate to others if you have lost yourself. Space allows you to reconstitute. And repair is another interesting one. Sometimes the need is just, we had a weird moment earlier and I need to fix it so I can relax.
So the practice is to run through these three categories: physical, emotional, relational, ask what's coming up, and then, do we have to fix everything immediately? Because that sounds overwhelming.
No, and that's a crucial distinction. The goal isn't to perfectly satisfy every need instantly. The goal is just to acknowledge them. The text suggests finishing this sentence. The smallest way I can honor myself today is Emma.
Emphasis on smallest.
Right. If you realize you need rest, the answer doesn't have to be quit my job and move to Bali. It can be go to bed 20 minutes early.
Okay.
If you need connection, it can be send one text to a friend.
So why is the smallness so important?
Because it's actionable. If you set the bar too high, you'll do nothing.
Oh.
But small actions build trust. Every time you answer that question and do the small thing, you are proving to your inner self, I am listening, I matter.
You're building evidence. I am the kind of person who takes care of me.
Exactly. Now, there's one more layer to this we need to address. We could do the mental check-in, but the text points out that for many of us, our nervous systems are physically wired to reject stillness. We are addicted to the stress hormones.
This is the I can't relax syndrome. You sit down to rest and your heart starts racing, or you feel this itch to get up and clean something.
That's your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight mode, stuck in the on position. Disconnection is a survival state. Reconnecting feels unsafe to the body because the body has learned that safety equals hypervigilance.
So to listen inward, we often need to physically down-regulate the system first.
We do. And the text offers a somatic practice for this. Hand-to-chest breathing.
I know. Breathing exercises are a cliche, but this one has some specific biological mechanics worth unpacking.
It really does. The instruction is, place one hand on the chest, one on the belly. Inhale for a count of 4. Exhale for a count of 6.
Why the specific counts? Why is the exhale longer?
This is pure biology. When you inhale, your heart rate increases slightly. That's the sympathetic activation. When you exhale, your heart rate slows down. That's the parasympathetic response, the rest and digest mode. By voluntarily making the exhale longer than the inhale, you are physically forcing your nervous system to pump the brakes.
You're basically hacking the vagus nerve.
Essentially, yes. You are sending a bottom-up signal from the body to the brain that says, we are safe. And doing this with the hand on the chest adds that element of supportive touch, which releases oxytocin.
And while you're doing this, breathing out longer than you breathe in, the text suggests a mantra.
I am allowed to need.
I'm allowed to need.
It sounds so simple, but for the person we described at the beginning, the one who learned that needs are dangerous, this is radical reprogramming. You're calming the body while introducing a new cognitive truth.
It's like rewriting code while the machine is rebooting. I'm allowed to need. I think for some listeners, just saying that sentence out loud might bring up some emotion.
And that's okay. If emotion comes up, that's just the coming out sideways, finally coming out straight.
Yeah.
It's the backlog clearing out.
So if we zoom out and look at this whole picture, we start by realizing that the struggle isn't laziness, it's disconnection. We stop the destructive cycle of needs leaking out as rage or anxiety by naming them. We use the check-in to gather data on what we physically and emotionally require. And we use the breath to make it safe to actually feel those things.
That's the roadmap. And I do want to address the skeptic for a second. The person thinking, this sounds nice, but I have a job, I have kids, I have a mortgage, I don't have time to center my needs.
The I'm too busy to have needs defense.
Right. And the counter argument from the text is that you don't have a choice. You can pay the cost up front by honoring your needs in small ways, or you can pay the cost later with interest when you crash.
The bill always comes due.
It always comes due. Prioritizing your needs isn't about being selfish. It's about asset management. You are the asset. If you let the asset depreciate to zero, you can't help your kids, you can't do your job, you can't be a partner.
It reminds me of the oxygen mask rule on airplanes. Put your own mask on first. We hear it a million times, but we still think it's somehow noble to suffocate while trying to help others.
It's not noble, it's just ineffective.
As we wrap this up, I want to leave the listeners with that final thought from the chapter. It really struck me as the perfect antidote to that I'm lazy shame spiral we started with.
Your needs are not weakness. They are wisdom.
Mm.
When your body tells you it is tired or lonely or hungry, that is the deepest, wisest part of you trying to keep you alive and thriving. The work is just to listen.
They are wisdom. I'm going to carry that into my week. Thank you so much for unpacking this. It feels like we just went through a therapy session and a biology class at the same
The
time.
best kind of deep dive.
Absolutely. To everyone listening, try the check in just once today. Ask the question, see what happens. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.